So I'm doing this video on the steps of my hideously carpeted basement because we had some heavy rains for a week or more, and my sump pump backed up, the basement flooded with several inches of water. There was a mad scramble to pick things up off the floor and put them on any elevated surface I could find, and as a result, the basement is a mess. So yeah, this started its life as a clone of Chouffe Golden. Chouffe is a Belgian beer, but it quickly turned into not a clone when, right at the very beginning of the recipe design, I decided to substitute some clear candy sugar with some candy D45, which added considerably to the color, obviously. So, not a clone, but this is probably the best Belgian ale or Belgian style that I've made so far. So let's get to the recipe. Oh, and by the way, you might notice a difference in hairstyle now between brew day because the lockdowns here in Michiganistan ended and I was able to finally go get a haircut after over a year. So, my base malt is 12 pounds of Pilsner, that's 75%. I've got 1 pound of Vienna malt, or 6.3%. And candy syrup, D45, 3 pounds of that at 18.8%. That was added in the boil, by the way. And if you want to do the Belgian Golden Chouffe clone the way it was originally written, substitute the D45 for clear candy syrup or sugar. I mash my grains at 150 degrees for 60 minutes. And now Beersmith doesn't give you the the post mash gravity of the grains. It gives you the grains plus the sugar in the boil kettle. So after I added the sugar in the boil kettle, my gravity was 1062. So that would be a pre-boil gravity. Beersmith estimated 1060, so I was 2 points over. Then I fly sparge. Speaking of fly sparge, did you see that? Just in time. That's my stunt fly. At the end of the fly sparge, I had a volume of just over 8.5 gallons. I was supposed to have a little more, but the end of running's gravity that I measure as it gets towards the end was 1012, and that's getting there kind of low, and I didn't want to risk any pH problems. So I stopped a little bit short of my pre-boil volume. Now there are 3 hops in this recipe. The first 2 at 60 minutes are 3 ounces of Styrian Goldings. You're shooting for an IBU of about 15.7 with that addition. Also at 60 minutes is a ½ ounce of Tettnang, and here you're shooting for IBUs of 2.5 with that addition. The final hop addition, halfway through at 30 minutes, is 1 ounce of Saaz, and you're shooting for 6.5 IBUs with this addition. I don't have the overall IBU of the total recipe handy here. Do I see it on this page? No, I don't. I have the brew steps, not the recipe. And in the last 5 minutes, I added coriander seed. I kind of crushed them up a little bit. Wasn't real diligent about crushing. I just put them in a bag and used the back of a spoon to kind of squish them up a little bit. That was ½ ounce at 5 minutes left in the boil. And I think that made all the difference in making this the best Belgian beer style that I've made so far. My post-boil gravity was 2 points lower than expected. I could have boiled a little longer and gotten the 1079, but I opted to have more volume going into the fermenter and stop at 1077. Not a huge difference. Now for my yeast, I used 2 packages of Yeast 3787. That's the Trappist high gravity yeast. And I used 2 packages because I got a little bit lazy and didn't make a starter. I did kind of do a vitality starter, pulling some wort during the mash and putting that in a 1-gallon jug, pouring all the yeast into it and shaking the hell out of it and just letting it set during brew day. So by the time I pitched it, I don't know if there was any activity already starting or not. Maybe, maybe not. It didn't hurt. Now the yeast did take a little over 24 hours to get started, but when it did, boy did it take off, and it just chewed through those sugars, because my estimated final gravity was supposed to be 1015 and my measured final gravity was 1005, putting my ABV right around 10%, which ain't a bad beer. Now, because Beersmith thinks of everything, the final step in the brew steps is drink and enjoy. So let's drink, well, I'll drink and enjoy this Belgian Golden Ale Chouffe clone, which ain't no clone. I should have bought a 4-pack of Golden Ale Chouffe for comparison's sake. It would not have looked anything like this. But I wonder if the taste would be similar. I don't think so, not with this D45 candy sugar. It's sweet. It's almost cloyingly sweet. And I attribute that to the Belgian, the candy sugar, the D45. The head retention is not much. It never had much of a head at all, and it doesn't hold it very well. It's got a nice color. I like this. I mean, you can't see it. There's no light for me to shine through. Maybe I do. Here, hold on. Yeah. It's got a real nice color. I like it a lot. And the coriander offers a character that at first I mistook as sweet, heavy sweetness, but it's not. It's the coriander, kind of a spicy note, and that has faded over time. It was very noticeable the very first couple of pours, but now that it's been aging for almost a month, it's in the background. It's very subtle in the back, and I think adds that Belgianness, that Belgian-like character to this beer. So I'm going to try this again, different variations, maybe add some different spices. But yeah, this is a winner. It's not a clone, but it's a winner.
Cold beer.